Hey, Brianna.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Brianna, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Quinn's getting us to go live, so.
All right, and we are now live.
Okay.
Hey, Laura, if you need anything, I will be right back.
Okay. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Hey, folks, just a reminder, we are live on YouTube.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear? Is your audio working? Hi, Judge Kaufman.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Quinn's just told us we are live on YouTube and we're just waiting for our other members.
Great.
Okay.
Hi. Quinn is a big M. Is it Brianna?
That is correct.
Brianna. Okay.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
And Brandon, is your audio working? Since we've got some time, I just want to see if you're able to hear us. Okay, you can hear us. I don't know that we can hear you. Let's give it a shot. Not yet.
Yeah.
We're trying to get Brandon to,
Yeah, Laura, it says his microphone is connected, so it's
okay,
probably something kind of internal there.
okay. There's just Judge Scorsoni and Diana and Denotra. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
We are live on YouTube, just waiting for the other members.
Wonderful.
Hey.
You know, this is a much cooler way to participate given the heat.
Oh, God, I know it.
Judge Isaac is walking us around. Judge Isaac.
When does it look like Judge Isaac's audio? What's it look like there? That
Let's see.
There we go.
Dr. Price.
It appears that it's not connected.
okay. Judge Isaac, if you can hear me, it appears that your audio is not connected on your end.
But Judge Isaac, there should be a button at the bottom of your screen that allows you to connect to audio. There we go. I think she's got it now. Let's see.
Ms. Baird is on.
No.
Dr. Akins is on.
I am.
Dr. Price, are you at the Gaines Center?
No, we're still home. Our AC is out. So
Oh, at the Gaines Center?
we're in the middle of repairs, but we're still home.
Mr. Kozart?
Hello,
Hi.
how is everybody?
Miss Minifield?
Hi, Judge. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Judge Murphy? Ms. Queen? I see Ms. Gunther. Okay, good. Great.
Ah, finally.
Judge Isaac?
And it says Lewis Paisley. Just
It does.
my computer is being very testy.
You are an
Are you all? What a great group.
Right. Judge Murphy, hi. Mr. Dunn?
Hey, Judge Kaufman. I realized I was on mute. Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Couple of minutes here. Brother Quinn, when I try to share screen, it tells me, or Laura, or whomever's administrating, it tells me that the host has disabled screen sharing.
Okay. Let me see if I can fix that really fast.
While we're waiting, everybody, you should have received this mayor's overview on the entire commission, and you should have received our agenda, which is just a 4-item agenda. And so we'll be referring to both of those, of course. Oh, Mr. Harris, good. Okay, good.
Right. Laura, will you be somewhat keeping the role here?
Yes, I will.
Good.
All right. Well, why don't we do this in respect of everybody's time? We're scheduled for 3, looks like a good part. of this robust and illustrious group is here. So let's get started. I'm David Cozart. Sounds like everybody has met Judge Kaufman. We will serve as co-chairs here for this Mayor's Commission on Justice, Racial Equity. The specific subcommittee, as you know, law enforcement, justice, and accountability. A big old apple. And so this is what we will be addressing. I do want to give some protocol. Let's just make it practice that if we are not talking, let's mute. It's good. I know everybody's probably figured out Zoom decorum by now, but just in case, make sure that we're muted if we're not talking. And if you need to mute your screen, that is fine as well. We will have also the opportunity, certainly for everybody to do introductions. Let me read, per protocol, the COVID statement that we need to make everyone aware of. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, state of emergency, and Governor Beshear's executive orders regarding social distancing, this meeting is being held via teleconference pursuant to Senate Bill 150, as signed by the governor on March 30th, 2020, and Attorney General Opinion 2020-05, and in accordance to KRS 61.826, because it's not feasible to offer a primary physical location for the meetings. So in appreciation of that and everyone's health and safety. You likely know as well, but we won't assume. Sister Laura Hatfield will be serving as the mayor's office, serving as air support and admin support to this group. She has already been fulfilling that task and doing a wonderful job of it. And you'll see some of the work that she has done, as well as in assisting Judge Kaufman and myself as we prepared for this initial gathering. And there are on this super committee of sorts, the commission, there are two fine chairs, one in the person of Dr. Gerald Smith. He is unable to be with us today. Many of you will know that Dr. Smith serves at the University of Kentucky, is also a pastor here in town, and authored the Kentucky African American Encyclopedia, and just brings a great deal of wealth and experience too. Many of you know, if you haven't been under a rock, Sister Dr. Soror, First Lady, Auntie, Miss Akins. She is the other co-chair, and she's here today to give us an overview of this commission from the mayor's office, that she has agreed to provide leadership to. So I will kick it to Sister Akins.
Thank you, David. And first of all, let me say on behalf of Dr. Smith and I, how much we appreciate each of you serving on this subcommittee for the Mayor's Commission on Race and Equity. You all have a very important job ahead of you, and we definitely appreciate you. So what I want to do is just kind of give you the purpose, the guiding and kind of some subcommittee objectives and goals, and then I'm going to get out of the way. The purpose of this commission is to assemble diverse community members to listen, discuss, and create empowering solutions that dismantle systemic racism in Fayette County. And there are 4 guiding principles we hope you will use as you are doing this assignment. Number 1, to acknowledgement. Number 2 is to ask. 3 is address. And number 4, there will be action. In addition to your committee, there are 4 others: racial equity, education and economic opportunities, health disparities, and housing and gentrification. And so we recommend that you be guided by these 3 overarching goals. Number 1, identify both the systemic and systematic practices of racism, which is fostered structural inequalities, challenges, and deficiencies in Lexington-Fayette County. Assess the historic marginalization of African Americans in this community. And 3, recommend and advocate the systemic changes that will protect and promote racial opportunity, diversity, equity, and unity. So those are the overarching goals, and you will work under those for your assignment. So in closing, let me say, as you meet, as you discuss, ask, acknowledge, address, please don't be afraid to deal with the truth. For this time, there can be no sidestepping, no surface skimming. You've got to deal with the truth. And what you get out of this work is what you will put into it. Truth is number 1. Number 2, I hope each of you are doing this because of your love for this city, that you want to make Lexington a better place. And then the second part of loving this city, that you believe that every human being deserves dignity, freedom, and equality. And the last thing I want to say is, I pray that all of you will be committed, because this is going to be some hard work. It's going to be some painful work. And I pray that you'll hang in there with us. Please don't anyone throw in the towel. And we know that something good can come out of this. And so please go at it. You've got 2 great co-chairs of this subcommittee. They've been working diligently on getting data, getting a lot of information so that they can speak and they can navigate this committee in a very intellectual way. And so thank you all again. We appreciate every one of you, and we look forward to working with you. So Judge Kaufman, I'm gonna let you have it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Akins, and I appreciate that. And I think she's going to zoom away from us now.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to do is say welcome to every one of you. I know most of you. I'm Jennifer Kaufman. I'm a retired federal district judge. I retired in 2013, so I've been off the bench for some time. I'm teaching at the law school, just part-time, and Judge Scorsone, among other judges, is one of my mentor judges for my students. My honorable co-chair, David Cozart, and I have met several times. We've talked, we've Zoomed, we've emailed, we've texted. I just looked a while ago, and not just between the 2 of us, but in relation to all this, we've exchanged over 60 emails since our appointment. Our first meeting was just a few days ago. We didn't know each other, but we knew that our first goal was to establish some mutual respect and trust for the task before us. We also knew that to do that, we wanted to foster a sense of trust and honesty and respect for each other. And so we've done that, and I feel very good about that. We've spent a lot of time trying to organize today's meeting. We both do have something we want to say in advance of getting down to the work. And so I'm starting. This is not a protest march, and we aren't all showing up with wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts, but we do convene in that spirit of resolve, of a positive attitude and determination. We meet in the same spirit as a lot of people we have never seen before come forward on this. I've seen videos, for example, of the Alabama football team featuring its famous head coach, Nick Saban, who says, quote, "Until Black Lives Matter, all lives can never matter." I've seen a video from, not of the entire basketball team, but from Coach Krzyzewski of Duke saying, "Black Lives Matter, just say it, Black Lives Matter." And he says it many, many times during his video. I've seen Coach Stoops and the UK football team coming to march. we meet in the same spirit as all of them, but also the same spirit as my grandchildren who asked during a recent day, a family fun day, while their faces were being painted. One of them, actually the 6-year-old, asked if they could have Black Lives Matter painted on their backs. They had watched the CNN Sesame Street town hall. We've all talked about all of this, especially their parents. And then the next week, they gave their dad a Black Lives Matter flag for Father's Day. Again, we meet in that spirit today. We are all in this together. We're all on the same side. We're identifying systemic and systematic racism. We're not stopping to ask whether it exists. We know it exists. We know that for over 400 years, a system has incrementally and sometimes abruptly created a system that fosters systemic racism. We meet to uncover that and to offer proposals for change. We have to pledge to listen with fresh ears and look with clear eyes to find the racism within the law enforcement and justice systems. Now, it's in other places too, but we'll leave that to other subcommittees. It's important for us to remember that this is not a zero-sum game. We are not proposing taking from one group or one person and giving to others. This is additive, that all of us may have the same opportunities and rights. And for some of us, it will mean dropping our privilege, setting aside our privilege, recognizing our privilege, and moving forward. We stand poised, I think, on the cusp of a new revolution, and we have to get this right. That doesn't mean we have to get it all done now, but we have to take the right approach. We are looking for new automatic systems, automatic settings for our moral compasses. Every morning, I like to think I get up and I have a moral compass that automatically sets on no lying, no cheating, no stealing, being fair, not hurting anyone. In the same vein, we have to get up every morning and also set that moral compass on being an anti-racist, being against racism. See racism, expose racism, change racism every single day. I am confident we can do that. And now I'll turn it over to my co-chair, David Cozart.
Thank you. So we're going to swiftly get into the introductions of each individual on here. And in your introduction, we want you to obviously tell us who you are and what you bring to this work, either by life experience or by vocation. I would just say, in a way of setting what I hope to be an atmosphere of truth and honesty, an atmosphere of relationship building, an atmosphere in which each one of us can be comfortable speaking our hearts, whether it is part of the consensus at the time or whether it is an outlier. This group was not chosen because it was each one of us were the same. You've heard that this committee and this commission is not formed to prove that structural, institutional racism has plagued us and plagues us. There are also words like white supremacy that were used in the formation of this. Not formed to prove that these things exist, it's formed because these things exist. You will hear and see me asking and saying some challenging things, challenging even to myself. But I hope as we go through this process that everybody realizes that it is absolutely for the greater good. I've had to identify some things to help me keep my moral compass in place. I personally use scriptures to do that, but there are also other things I used to do that as well. And I've adopted this in this group and some other groups that I'm part of, working towards racial reconciliation and addressing of this insidious issue that's existed. Mary McLeod Bethune, an educator and activist, she said that the progress of the world will call for the best that all of us have to give. And all of us have something to give in this group. We hope you give it your best of all. And even if that means some of those acknowledgements that Sister Akins and Judge Kaufman have mentioned. James Baldwin said, there's never a time in the future that we will be able to work out our salvation. The challenge is in the moment, and the time is always now. We believe that there is an opportunity that we have now that we have not had heretofore, nor will we have hereafter. The gravitas of this work cannot be expressed by words. We will not settle it in 60 days. In fact, I hope we don't settle it in 60 days, because that would prove that we were just doing a superficial and perfunctory effort. But we will put in place some very real and effective measures by which it can be settled over short, intermediate, and long-term goals and objectives. So please let us work together and let us bring the best that we have to this work. Let's do introduction. I'm going to do it in this way. I'm going to start with Laura Hatfield, our admin support. Then we're going to go to our council member that's appointed to here, and then I will go around the way you're looking on my screen and do that. So, Sister Laura.
Hello, and thank you. Thank you all. My name is Laura Hatfield, and I work in Mayor Linda Gordon's office. I head up the One Lexington initiative, and I have the honor of staffing this subcommittee. And so I am not really an official member. So if those of you who know me, I'm a talker. And so you're going to hear me pull back and just do everything I can to support you in the work of this committee. And I'm honored to be serving in this way. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Laura. And for all my talkers on this, including myself, this portion is about 120 seconds at the most. We're going to make sure that everybody has opportunity. And let me add too, thank you for bringing that out, Laura. We have a short time to do the work. And so it's going to call for very efficient and effective use of our time. And so those that are of us, like myself, that are fluid, there's a place for that. Those that are methodical, there's a place for that. We're going to be somewhere in between there doing this work. We're going to use our time wisely, but we're not going to try to squelch anyone's voice either. So let's be mindful of that. Sister Jennifer, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Oh, Jennifer. We can make it just Jennifer. Jennifer Masati, Council Member, District 9, which is the southwest portion of Lexington. I'm also Chair of Planning and Public Safety. Hello to all. I know many of you, and some of you I'll get to know a little bit better. I'm honored to be with such a prestigious group. I told the mayor I wanted to be involved. I need to listen, I need to understand, and I need to learn as much as I can, because eventually I think the council will have some difficult decisions to make. And again, as we all know, these aren't easy decisions, but I'll just end by saying, out of something bad comes something good. So hopefully out of all this unrest that we've lately been dealing with, and the COVID, and I'm waiting for the locusts to come next. I think that we can move forward and have some real good outcomes. Thank you for being a part of this group, letting me be a part of this group. That's all.
Mr. Kozar, I believe you're on mute.
Brother Maynard, you're up. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Maynard. I'm the Assistant Chief of the Bureau of Patrol for Lexington PD. Been on for coming up on 21 years. And like Laura and Councilmember Sadi, several friends and folks that I've worked with over the years on here. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Sister Pursley.
Oh, I'm Sheila Isaac, using my husband's not laptop, his iPad. And I am a retired circuit judge. I also was in the district court, many years of criminal and civil trials. I think the time has come for us to stop talking and start doing. And I hope that this is some kind of first step for our city.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Brianna Parsley. Thank you, Judge Isaac. Sister Brianna Parsley.
Oh, there.
You're
Well,
fired.
hello, everyone.
I
Here's
see
Paisley.
you.
Sounds like.
I'm so
So I'm
sorry.
Brianna Parsley. I wear many, many hats. One, I'm a community member. I grew up here in Lexington after
Sister
relocating.
Brianna, you're a little faint.
Can you hear me now? That better? That better? Okay. So I'm Brianna Parsley. I'm a community member and have been since I was 4 years old. But I've served in many capacities within our community, through the Housing Authority, Manchester Center, through the Fayette Commonwealth Attorney's Office, where I've served the longest, as almost just shy of 16 years as a crime victims advocate. And then now, as the executive director of Partners for Youth, which started with tragedies such as this, where there was a lot of unrest in the community. These conversations were had, and 25 years later, here we are. But for the sake of transparency, I am a wife of a recently retired police officer from here in Lexington. So I always like to say that because I just want people to know that that is a known fact, but I am always here to be an advocate for our community, and I'm happy to serve on this committee so we can help make a difference in Lexington.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that precedent of transparency as well. Brother Scorsone.
Hi, Ernesto Scorsone. I'm a circuit judge in Fayette County. I do both civil and criminal cases. I've been on the bench 12 years. Prior to that, I did private practice with a special emphasis on criminal defense work. And I also served in the legislature for 24 years, during which I had a lot of involvement with criminal justice issues, racial and other justice issues. I served on Judiciary Committee. I was involved with the drug court, family court, and lots of other matters in reforming the legal system. So I'm very pleased to be part of this effort today.
Thank you, sir. Sister Gunther.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deneltra Spruill Gunther. I've been practicing law in Kentucky or in Fayette County for the last 24 years in different capacities. Started out working for a judge, then I prosecuted for many years. And for the last 15 years, I've been in private practice, taking on family law cases, criminal cases, what have you. I'm also the current vice president of the John Rowe chapter of the National Bar Association. And in that capacity, I also serve as the John Rowe member of the Ethics Committee for the city. I've been on the Ethics Committee for several years. And I'm also an instructor at the University of Kentucky. So I have a lot of different capacities in which this forum interests me. Thank you.
All right. Sister Diana Queen. Unmute, sis.
Diana, we did not hear you. Can you do that one more time? You were muted.
Unmute. There we go. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you. Thank you. It's a great honor to serve on this commission and be a part of this subcommittee. You know, I'm a longtime resident of Lexington, a longtime public servant practitioner. I've spent 30 years working in the criminal justice system in various capacities, kind of unique in a way because my roles have involved justice and advocacy, but I've also have been a law enforcement officer. I've been part of I guess my greatest interests have been a part of the social justice and intersections between like criminology, law, and society, those kind of intersections between those areas. I'm the president of the Kentucky Center for Restorative Justice. You know, I get some of my contributions is I've been a part of some legal teams where we've exonerated eight persons, factually innocent people from prison. I've served on a lot of human rights commissions and worked on both human rights commissions and international rights commissions. And I guess I do my very best to foster a lot of peace and repair harm on behalf of people. I certainly feel very strongly about fairness, equity, you know, the pursuit of that. And I really look forward to, you know, having the opportunity to serve with all of you to really work to make Lexington just better in all of those areas. I already think we have a great community, but I also know there's some deep and important work to be done. So, thank you.
Thank you. Sister Melinda Price.
Hi, my name is Melinda Price. I'm a professor at the UK College of Law, where I've primarily done research on race and politics and policy law, politics, and policy associated with the criminal justice system.
Thank you. Sister Minifield.
Thank you, David. Diane Minifield. I'm an assistant Fayette County attorney, been in the county attorney's office probably over 30 years, doing mostly a lot of family juvenile work. I'm excited to serve on this committee. I feel like I love Lexington. I'm not a Lexingtonian by birth, but I've been transplanted here. My children and family, you know, grew up here. It's been good to us. And I want to see it be better. I mean, I want to see Lexington be better. I'm a strong believer in justice. I believe that justice has got to occur, and it's got to occur for everybody, regardless of your race, socioeconomics, or anything. So, and I'm happy to serve here, and hopefully we can all make sure that justice works.
Thank you. Let me pause here. You will hear me calling folks brother and sister because that's easy for me, and I think that's what we are, whether we like one another or not. I have biological family that I don't like, and biological family I don't always like me. And so that's a term of endearment where I come from. If you do, however, have a title you prefer, I'm glad to seek to honor that. Sister Kimberly.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Henderson Baird. I'm the first assistant Commonwealth's attorney under the elected official Luana Redcorn, and I have been in my office 24 years. Denote you and I graduated together, so we've been on this journey a long time together. And so I know I'm born and raised in Lexington, and so I think I know pretty much or know of everybody on this panel. So that is very exciting to be able to work with all of you all as well. And one of the things that has happened with what's going on has caused our office to have some discussions and some evaluations. You know, we operate under the treat everybody the same under the same set of circumstances, but when you come from different places, sometimes that your view of those circumstances may be different. So that is definitely causing our office to and the people to come ask me a lot of questions, which has been good and opened up a lot of dialogue. So I'm excited to go forward with this and take a lot back to my office.
Thank you. Sister Melissa Moore Murphy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Melissa Moore Murphy, and I am the newest judge in Lexington. That's my job and career path, and also I believe as a calling. I did the calculation. I've been on the bench for 73 days, and I'm loving every second of it because it's where I want to be. But I was appointed by Governor Beshear in April, and I'm on the ballot in November for election. The question is why we want to be and what do we bring to this commission? Well, of course, my position being a district court judge, having the insight, but
gathering this information that we share here, but being able to share it with my colleagues on the bench. But also I bring the fact that I'm a mom of 3, and specifically a mom of 2 young African-American males and 1 African-American daughter that I love dearly. And Reverend Akins, she said before she got off the phone, hopefully we're doing this because we love Lexington. And I am not a native Lexingtonian, but I chose Lexington. And I chose Lexington because I do love being here and I want to raise my family here. And they are native Lexingtonians and I want it to be better for them. My mantra, one of the first things that I had placed in my office, or I got ordered to put in my office, is that I think, and I am a talker, so I'm going to shut up, but Reverend Cozart said that he uses scripture. But one thing that I pray that I do every time I take the bench, and it's Micah 6:8, and that's do justice. So that's my hope, and that's what I'm praying to bring to these conversations. Thank you, and I'm glad to serve with all of the people who trained, taught me, and so on. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sister Tana.
Hello, my name is Tana Fogel. I prefer she, her pronouns. I bring to the table the Kentuckians for the Commonwealth, Kentucky Poor People's Campaign, and my family. I'm a formerly incarcerated individual who is a leader in our community. I give back freely what was given to me. I've stood before a couple of the judges that's on this panel, and I'm proud of what the sentence that they gave me, and actually they followed me through my life's journey. So I'm gonna be on both sides of this table. I also bring the fact, like Judge Murphy, I have 11 grandchildren, 2 sons, and 8 of those are men. And I hope that that I'm gonna be able to change our dialogue at the dinner table. Instead of saying, how was your day? For the last 6 years, I've been telling them when they're out in public, if they're at Castlewood Park, to lay down. If a police come, to lay down, spread their fingers, say, call my granny, call my mom. And I hope to change that dialogue, because that should not be what we talk about at the dinner table, about how to stay alive and how to sit here and hope that they come back through this door. So I bring that. I'm an East Ender, and you all know the ratio of the arrest and what happens in the East End. And so I'm here as a leader and the advocate for the East Enders. And I'm glad to be on this panel. And I hope that we get down to business and that things change for the future generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Tana, I think you allowed me to call you Tanya for about 50% of our relationship, and you never corrected me. It's Tana.
It is Tana, and the thing is that people have called me Tanya all my life, and as I was making parole, they misspelled my name, and I corrected them, and they said, well, you can stay another 7 to 10 days so that we can change it on the record, and I said, that's all right.
I'll be Tanya. Brother Don.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, brother.
Husband, father of 4, concerned citizen, lifelong resident of Lexington, Kentucky. And I think that I bring to the board love, understanding, and effective communication.
Thank you, sir. Brother Jerry Harris. Is it Jerry or Gary? You're muted still, Brother Harris. There you go.
Well, Brother Cozart, since I like you, I will start off by correcting you. It is Gary Harris, although it's spelled with an E. It is Gary Harris. But let me just say that I'm an attorney here in Lexington. I primarily practice in criminal defense law, federal and state, do bankruptcy and family law. Not sure what I bring to the panel, but I am a former police officer here in Lexington. I'm retired military reservist for 38 years. And my goal when I was young was, I'm not sure what I'm going to do in life, but whatever I do, I want to do it in Fayette County, because I realized that many people in my community, the only thing that they thought about was, I'm going to get educated and I'm going to leave Lexington. And that's what happened. So I decided to stay because I felt that Lexington was a good place. to be, was a good place to work, and a good place to live. And hopefully, through some of the work I've done in the past, I've helped to improve Lexington. And I hope that by being on this panel, we can continue to improve Lexington and relations between the police and the citizens. But I am a former police officer.
Thank you, sir.
I'm retired.
I appreciate that correction. I'm up for that. Makes me feel at home when I get corrected.
I only correct the people I like. The other people, I let them call me Jerry, and that's how I identify my enemies.
That is a good principle for us all to have. Friends, enemies will stab you in the back. Friends will stab you in the front. So you'll see me coming. All right. That's a good principle for us to uphold. Sister Witt.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's really an honor to sit here and look at this screen, although I wish we could be together, but to look at all of you all and to realize that I have worked with so many of you for a number of years in trying to ensure fairness and justice. And that is truly an honor. But to be on this committee with this group is truly an even bigger honor to do the work of our lifetime. And I'm just really humbled to be able to do that. I serve as the Fayette County Sheriff. I've devoted over half my life to serving Lexington because I love Lexington deeply. We have chosen to raise our children here who are now raising our grandchildren here. And I too love Micah 6:8. I seek to live it and to be it every single day. And that is a mission of the Office of Sheriff, to truly be Micah 6:8 to this community. Most of the work that I've done has been reaching out to downtrodden and hurting people. And I have a passion for helping hurting people in the moment of their need. And so thank you. And I just really look forward to doing this work with you.
Thank you. The balance is Brother Quinn. He is our sort of our tech assistance and support. I think he prefers. There you go, Brother Quinn. Go ahead. I didn't know if you wanted to be not seen and not heard, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. I typically try to keep the video off so that the public can see you guys better. But yeah, my name's Quinn Welch. I work in the mayor's office, and I'll be helping with the technical aspect of this and starting the Zoom and doing the YouTube stream. So just let me know if you need anything. Thank you.
In that regard, please know that this is a public meeting. They will be posted. We will be outlining the remaining dates prior to ending today because of the fact that we have to be posted publicly. And we will not be receiving live comments, but we do have, citizenship does have the opportunity to share via email any comments on any of these 5 committees. I'm gonna move us forward. We have a little less than an hour left. We're gonna have a hard stop at 4:30. We're gonna wanna do some work. And then I'm gonna kick it back to Sister Kaufman here. So you have heard of some of the, we didn't want to come in without having done some work, nor did we want to come in imposing the entire direction of this work upon this very talented and experienced group. But we did feel it was incumbent upon us and our responsibility to do some things. So we gathered some documents that will illustrate to you some of the things we think we may want to address here. It's no secret that this subcommittee is among, I call it a big apple. It's also a big hot apple right now. So we need to acknowledge that. There are many eyes on our law enforcement. There are many eyes or many hearts and minds questioning accountability. And certainly there's been a long standing history of perhaps not trusting that justice is there for everybody. And that is a foregone conclusion that we're going to move forward with. I said in jest that enemies stab you in the back and friends in the front. There's always truth in jest. And so as I go through this list of things we're gathering as data that Laura has helped gather, that we have brought together, it will be talking about and speaking to some of the systems in which many of you either work in currently, have in the past, have been affected by. And so we need to look at that elephant that's in the room and understand that it may well be your nose that we're saying has a booger on it. It may well be your teeth that we're saying has spinach in it. We need to understand that going into it. We are here and you are here because it is you that are present in this space. And we need you present in this space, recognizing that you may be part of a system, whether you initiated it or whether you're employed by it, that may be part of the issues that we need to address and modify. And so I just want to bring that out and let that be known. That's part of the truth that we need to move forward in. And so we need to recognize that. So some of the things that we have identified as needs, and you guys, this is information and material that you have access to, and it's information and material that we will be asking each of you to help us with. And it's material that we've just identified to this point. So we have secured, I'll just go through the list, the collective bargaining agreement, because that is an issue that we feel like that it has been identified both by us and the public that can help inform our work. Current procedures of officer misconduct, current disciplinary complaints and categories. We're seeking those for really a 5-year breakdown, and we're looking to get that in any disciplinary action sent to the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council. We've secured the current LPD organizational chart and staff demographics. We're looking for a breakdown of encounters between LPD citizens, including but not limited to the categories of encounters with mental health, homeless, vehicular traffic, domestic disputes, violence, and encounters with armed citizens. We need to look at those statistics and check for any disparities. These are sort of in categories of law enforcement and justice. Courts, we're looking at structures and demographics of the courts, the current diversion programs in the demographics and who is going to those. We're looking at information from the county attorney's office. We're looking at the demographics of FCDC, Fayette County Detention Center, as well as the juvenile detention center that's here in Lexington. I believe it's a regional one, however. And then a breakdown of the bond versus detention decisions, showing ethnicity in both of those categories. And Judge Kaufman, I'll kick it to you to expound upon sort of the rationale behind that initial set of metrics and data.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, let me back up just for a moment and put this in context. You know, we gave you a 4-item agenda. The first item was sort of an orientation from Dr. Akins and then from David and me. Second, the committee introductions. We've just done that. And this third area is with regard to both areas of study and gathering of documents. And we wanted to let you know what we saw as the documents we had needed to gather so far, but even after we sent those emails to Laura for documents, we've thought of more that we need. And so we want you to add to the list of documents we need. With regard to the areas of study, we obviously are looking at the courts and the police and probably with the sheriff's department. But we asked you to add to those areas of study too. It's probably easier for me to say something about areas of study first and then go to documents. The first thing I did, to be honest, I love this committee and I think every one of you brings so much to the table. I loved hearing your histories, especially yours, Tana. It just brings so much. Thank you. But, you know, there's one thing that stood out to me as a glaring omission, and that is the public defender's office. And one of you has also written us an email and said, you know, you're missing people who defend indigent defendants. And so we're aware of that. The mayor, frankly, wants to keep every committee right where it is and doesn't want to add members, but that doesn't mean we don't seek information. So we are aware that one other area of study we need, in addition to law enforcement, police and sheriff, and the courts, is we need to look at public defender statistics. Moving to the documents, you heard David list all the things we ask for. Now, we've gotten some answers, and Ms. Baird, I'm trying to find you on here. There you are. Ms. Baird, you sent us, for example, your statistics on diversion. You have demographics on diversion. We asked the county attorney's office, and they don't keep demographics. And so we need to know, we need to get them where we can. Apparently we can get juveniles, but not others. But one other thing I thought of with regard to diversion, whether it's adult misdemeanor or juvenile or child support or drug court or whatever, we need to know the criteria and we need to know the process for diversion. So that is one additional set of documents I'd like to get. I know there's a lot of discretion involved. It may be that people will say, well, we don't have any written criteria and we don't have a process. If that's the case, then we need to know that. So that's one additional set of documents I think we need. We need information on training. We need to know what sort of anti-racism training is done. Now, anti-racism training is a relatively new thing. David and I shared last night an article in the Washington Post on the website last night about anti-racism training just setting fire, just catching fire over these last month or two for obvious reasons. And I know there's implicit bias training in some places. I don't know how often it occurs in the courts and the law enforcement. I don't know what's being done. I don't know anything about the content, but we need to find out. And so we need those documents. And then we need to go further beyond implicit bias and look at anti-racism training. We need to know about maybe some of this is state law, and some of you who practice, Mr. Harris, you may know this, classes of drugs and specifically the crack to cocaine ratio. We just need to know more information about that. We need to know something about juries, about jury pools, about jury selection. We need to know public defender caseloads. I teach students every semester at the law school, and everybody who sees any proceedings in district court comes back and says those public defenders are so overworked they can't possibly do a good job. It's frustrating. We need to know about body cameras. We need to know how many people have them, how often are they activated, how long is it kept. I'm not even sure what other statistics we have. We need to know about searches. We need to know about the process. We need to know whether searches and stops are altered for the poor or uneducated. In other words, is more explanation given in those situations. We need to know about sentencing disproportionality. We need to know about life without parole sentences. We need to know about death penalties. I know Dr. Price has done a lot of work on mass incarceration. Is even writing a book on that right now. And I'm sure you can help us with some of that general research, but we need to know what's going on here. And those are just some notes I've written just for other documents and areas of study. I want to open it up now for discussion from you on those two categories. One, areas of study, and the other, additional data or documentation. Who wants to start there?
Or questions you have to this point.
Or questions, please. Anything.
Mr. Brennan, I saw you.
Yeah. Mr. Dunn, were you waving your hand?
I was. One of the things that I had a question on, it sounds like when we start looking at training, anti-racism, bias training, that comes as far as almost like a respect type of thing, in my opinion, to where I don't feel as though I would ever need any training on not being anti-racist, because I'm going to respect the individual based on who that individual is. So if you have someone that doesn't respect someone based on who they are, I mean, there's a problem. So where are we at, or have we looked into the recruitment, screening, and hiring process to where we are hiring individuals that understand the people that they're going to be policing, more so than hiring people that may not be from a certain area, and then we have to train them on how to be respectful, nice, and kind to individuals that may not look like them or may not share the same traditional beliefs as them. So, you know, looking at those, collecting information on training on anti-racism, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I don't think that I would want someone to be a part of anything that I'm doing that I would have to train on how not to be racist or how to hate anything that is racist, you know? So, you know, those are kind of, you know, red flags if we're trying to collect data or see if we need to do anti-racism, and what can we do to look in the recruitment and screening process to make sure that we don't get those individuals that we really have to really put through a series of bias and anti-racism training courses.
You know, what I hear you recommending is that we find out what kind of recruitment, hiring, and training criteria and testing are done, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so we'll add that to the list of things we should ask for. I don't know whether they're written, but I definitely think that's something we need to ask about. Thank you. Yeah, Judge Corsoni.
Okay, and first of all, let me say, I'm one of the ones that complained to you about the composition, because 85% of criminal cases are indigents in the Representative Public Defender Agency. I realize the co-chairs here are bound by whatever the mayor says, but it's unfortunate that we can't have somebody from that agency at the table. There's some very fine public defenders that would really help our discussion. But I want to chime in. It's not, I agree. I mean, I think we need to be looking at screening. You know, we just had on the front page of the paper yesterday, a gentleman that was well known in the thoroughbred industry who made a very racist comment on social media. And Keeneland's reaction was, we don't want you here. Yeah. I would hope that our community says, if we detect these individuals that want to be police officers, we don't want them here. Or the same thing with prosecutors or judges, you know. And so the key, what are other communities doing to try to screen for that? And that's what I would like. Also, the literature also in other places. What other police practices are being used? What other, you know, prosecution methods can we look at and learn from? So it's not just the I mean, I think all the documents you mentioned are excellent. We need to look at them. But I want to see environmental scan of other communities and other methods. And can we learn from that? Can we adopt some of those things here?
Okay, so what I hear you saying is you want research done into what other police departments are doing to make sure we get the right people on the police force.
From the get-go, yeah. So we screen them from the beginning. So as Brandon said, you know, then we spend all our energy, you know, trying to retrofit and trying to cure. We're always going to need that. You know, I think that's clear, but also, why don't we try to head it off at the pass?
You know, Brian Maynard is going to help us here, I know, because he's going to give us some information about what our police department is doing. And I think in a way, it's going to be a lot like what Ms. Baird was saying a while ago. They're going to be getting out ahead of us because everything that's happened has fostered so many good conversations. But you're right. We do need to research and make sure we have the best practices.
And one last thing, and this, you know, we have to disclose our own failures. We have been pushing for several years for the Bar Association to do a survey of attorneys and judges to see what the attitudes are in terms of minorities, gays, gender, and race. And we finally got it done at the end of the year. And lo and behold, we still have a problem in terms of race in the legal system. You know, a significant number of attorneys and judges identify that as a continuing problem in terms of outcomes, in terms of, how people are treated in the legal system. And that's public. You can access it. It's on the KBA website.
So we need that.
Yes, it's under resources, and it'll talk about the diversity survey that we did at the end of last year.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of work to do in the legal system. But at least we've got the data now to document that a lot of people see that still as an issue, or the race issue. And then we got a lot of work to do.
So helpful. That's good to know. I didn't know about that survey. Jennifer,
Judge Kaufman, let me insert something here just for procedural purposes. One, Tana has done something you guys will see that will be helpful for us. Put in chat if you don't feel like you can get in, or if you're like me, a thought might escape you if you don't release it at that moment. So the chat is available to put things in. Also know that this process, I don't know that we talked about the product that we're seeking enough. And then perhaps if we talk about what we're seeking to get to in the next 60, perhaps plus days, you'll be hearing about the potential of extension of our time. The product we're looking to get to is something that is very real and implementable in addressing these issues. And so maybe in our minds, if we frame and reverse engineer from that, we will want something that presents the problem very empirically, which means this, from this set of data, this proves that there is disproportionality, or there's disparity, or there's injustice. We'll want scenarios that state those perhaps, and we'll also want to be very solution oriented. So the product that we're talking about, to the things that have even been spoken now, can very well be across a continuum of care in law enforcement, in the justice system, because there are various points where there is pathology in our systems. And so that product will seek to address all of those.
and the note that Tana actually put down was breakdown selection for the Kentucky Recovery Center by race. Who makes the decisions and what are the criteria? And I think, thank you so much. I think that's what I was talking about earlier with diversion decisions. We need to know who makes the decisions and what are the criteria with regard to diversion. And that is a very important thing to, very important question to ask with regard to a lot of this. Okay.
And if you ask for something, you're pretty much volunteering to get it as well. So
yeah.
Understand that that is the case. We are seeking solutions. If you have an issue, we want you to bring a solution with it, which may require, and I'm serious, may require you, because you got that expertise.
Yeah.
And those connections.
And another preview, the next part of the agenda is going to be setting up teams to analyze some of this. So also, not only are you bringing problems and solutions, you're probably bringing your volunteer, your raised hand to volunteer to work on it. But Tony, you had more to add.
Yes, ma'am. I would just like to tell the committee, it'll be hard for me as an individual because I'm an impacted person, and the respect level of me being a professional does not reach the top. And so it's going to be hard, like the question that I asked. I do know that in the other old normal that we just came from, I would go to the recovery centers, and in every recovery center, including Lexington, Kentucky, you will find maybe 100-bed unit. 95 of those people will be white. 2 will be black, maybe, and you might have a Hispanic. Now, if that's occurring around Kentucky, it occurs in Cumberland, it occurs in all parts of Kentucky where all the recovery. And so when I go down into a white area, when I am asked to come and speak, I say, is there no black people getting high down here? I'm looking for folks, I'm looking for diversity. And so that is a big problem. Who gets those beds? And so then other people like myself, we try to open facilities to catch the people who's fallen through the cracks that cannot get into the recovery centers. And that is a major problem here in Lexington, Kentucky. Go to the Crystal's house, go over there and see the proportionate, go to the Hope Center and you can see for yourself. So that's a big problem. And I'm 20 years into recovery. And so I work with a lot of people in recovery. And that's why my question came to the
Well,
fore.
you know, we have the backing of the mayor, and when Laura goes in using the mayor's name, it's just remarkable how many documents we're getting. So I think
Thank you.
work on that.
And you are respected and regarded in this group.
Absolutely.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. I can help acquire some of those documents. And let me tell you how important those documents are. 2 weeks ago, I chaired a 5-hour meeting and the vice mayor chaired, I think, a 6-hour meeting the next day. The first day was strictly with the documents. We looked at the collective bargaining agreement. We looked at police procedures. We looked at no-knock warrants. We looked at a myriad of general orders, things of that nature that guides our police department in order for them to make the correct decisions that they do. And I will say that, you know, based on other police departments that I am aware of throughout the country, we do a pretty good job. Although when we had public comment, I was shocked at the response that we got from some of the public. I mean, we had to stop the meetings the second day. I don't know, it's because of it, maybe we're not putting this information out to the public in their understanding, or maybe Facebook is the one that is bringing the headlines forward. But it was so disappointing for us to try to have a dialogue with the public that we had to shut down the meetings. So again, that was just something I wanted to bring out, that we've got to think about when we go forward with all this. When we get all this stuff together, what are we going to do with it, and how are we going to present it?
Yeah.
Because that's key. That's critical.
Any other suggestions about areas of study? Judge Murphy?
I just want to say that I think that it's good to gather all the documents, but then I think it also is be prudent to talk to the heads of these organizations to find out what actually happens in practice. Because we can have documents that say that things will happen a certain way, but we need to be, and prayerfully people will be truthful, but we need to know, and maybe not even just the heads of those organizations, the people who've actually gone through the process and say, yeah, the paper says do this, but you really turn left instead of you turning right, because that's also going to be important when it comes down to the information, like you said, as far as diversion programs, or what are those keywords that some people aren't saying? And if there is a keyword, we need to make sure that there's not a keyword. You know what I'm saying? That if the document says that it's supposed to be this way, then everybody should be following that way. So we understand that it's not just the written procedures, but there's also maybe some processes that people have formed that shouldn't have been.
You know, we David and I have already begun to talk to a few people, and we think that it would be good for us to continue talking to, for example, the Commonwealth Attorney, the County Attorney, maybe the Sheriff, maybe the Chief Judge of each court. I don't know. We need to find out how represented everybody is. I think it's very important for us to remember, we emphasize this to each other today. We're not talking about people, we're talking about systems, you know, so there's no attack on any person. Okay, any other areas of study, Ms. Minifield?
Thank you, Judge. You know, I've worked in juvenile justice for a number of years, and we've had study after study about disproportionate minority confinement. And, you know, we deal with what the police bring to our courts. You know, they charge. And so I would like some information on the over-policing of Black and underprivileged neighborhoods, you know, because I just think that we get what we get from where it comes from.
So really what we need is the criteria for selecting which neighborhoods are policed and the proportion of policing each of those neighborhoods.
Yes.
Does that sound right? Okay. Okay. And let's see, Brian Maynard, you're on here. Chief, is there, can we get those statistics?
Yeah, I'm just, no, that's a great point, Diane. And I'm working to figure out how the statistics, most of the time it's crime stats, and violent crime in general is what we really look at. As you know, when officers come to court and they testify, it's a high crime area. Those statistics have to show that and demonstrate that. Yeah, let me put some thought into that, and it should should not be difficult, especially on the violent crime, to pull that up as well.
But you do have those statistics, right?
We do have violent crime statistics that we can pull up, and some of the other stats that you had talked about earlier. I talked with Laura, the areas or some of the things I was trying to write down, the demographics that you were talking about with the mental health contacts or folks with guns. A lot of that statistics has to be pulled by what the charge is, not necessarily, we don't document, hey, I got a call on this individual. For us to pull the statistics, it has to have either some sort of criminal charge with it or the call itself. So we are limited on with the data that is gathered, but we can definitely take a look at that and see what's the best way to pull that.
Let me slide this back over to David Cozart, because we are going to need to be talking about how we gather into teams. If you will permit us to do so, David and I will interview the heads of some of these agencies if you think that's a good way to proceed. For example, I know Diane Minifield and Kimberly Baird work in the county attorney and Commonwealth attorney's offices, and we don't want to put all the heat on them. It may be better and helpful for us to interview the heads of those agencies separately. But with regard to pulling together the documents, collecting the documents, and analyzing them, we thought we could go into teams, make requests through David and me to Laura, so she won't be inundated, and then work in teams. David, you want to facilitate that conversation? We have about little over 20 minutes left here.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that conversation short because I want to make sure it's the consensus of the group that that's what we're doing at this juncture. And I want to make certain that everyone is tracking with this methodology. And I want to make certain that we get the feel of how we're moving forward from each one of you, as I do not want us to come out of the gate going off trajectory. And so I'm more concerned about getting more feedback on how on folks. But just logistically, one, keep in mind there are 4 other committees as well. And while we know substance misuse disorder is directly associated with some of the issues of law enforcement and justice and accountability, we'll want to know where is that going to be under health disparities? It doesn't mean it precludes us from it, but is it going to be better served for them to dig back deeper into that? So it's not discounting any of the things about recovery or anything else. I see we've now added child support, that's on the list. And so keep in mind, for the sake of efficiency and efficacy, we'll want to see, yeah, maybe that's another committee, but I'm not saying that that's the case with what we've listed to this point. Nonetheless, so for instance, those that have strong feelings on diversion, those that have, or expertise, those that have strong feelings on the training components or expertise, those that have experience or a proclivity towards any of the other subject matter. I think if we go with the team approach, that's how you self-select to certain areas. If there are things that have not been mentioned that we have missed, I think that's how we select, Judge Kaufman, or people self-select really, to what components that they want to work on. And reference, let me do another daylighting here. Reference the work. It is very interesting that many of us are part of the systems that we're going to be peeling back. And please know that externally, that is a concern, even about the composition of our committee. It's like what you would call the fox guarding the hen house or something, right? Whether that's appropriate or not. And so we need to realize that. And so somebody mentioned what you get is not always what's happening. I wouldn't say that's what we think happens. I say that's what we know happens. I actually will probably be the cynical one in the group at times. I'm at somewhat of a no faith, no confidence, and that's to no one's offense. But that's more to articulate that we are going to be dissecting and exploring very deeply what we get and validating what we get. and not just going by what we get solely. We know the experiences of people. We've either lived them, or we've seen them, or we've enacted them. And so I think that's very important for us to keep up front. But are there categories, or are there places people in this short amount of time are felt drawn to in what we've discussed to this point?
Excuse me, David, could I offer an alternative? If there's anybody who doesn't like this team approach, you could please say so now, but you could also let us send you emails. And if you don't want to come forward now and volunteer, you could volunteer later. It's just that we need to get everything staffed. That's just an alternative possible. Does anybody have a better idea than Teams?
No, Judge, but I do suggest, though, that you send out an email with the different teams so that people can kind of consider the options and the alternatives instead of just trying to make a decision like right now.
Yeah, you'd rather have a little time to think about it.
Well, I mean, if you just send out the email with the different teams, I think that people looking at the teams, they would know what they're better suited for, instead of it just being an oral thing.
Yeah.
Right now on this call.
Yeah. Okay.
Good thought.
Yeah.
And then it's part of the plan when we get back together that our technician can put us in breakout rooms with the teams to discuss some issues. Like, you can actually do that. And then if you go down into participation, you can raise your hand if you want to talk, hit that chat box if you want to put the things in the chat box. But there's a way we can break out into teams on the Zoom call.
Also, between our meetings, we can meet in groups. And I see, Tawna, you've also suggested child support and the writings of citations of the arrest. Thank you. I think we're going to have to be meeting between then to actually look at the documents and bring back. What we had anticipated was that the people in teams would get together between now and the next meeting, and then at the next meeting bring back some kind of preliminary report and preliminary recommendation. Right, David?
At some juncture, for sure. I know it's fresh to folks. Folks probably didn't know really the direction we were going until today.
Yeah.
And or the direction that was being offered. And again, please understand that we are seeking your guidance, expertise, gifts, and skills to come forward here. This is just an offering of one way that we can and will make progress towards this ultimate end goal of this document of recommendations, which I don't think is quite a strong enough word, but demands, or the commissions can't mandate, but we will be strongly recommending some things based in strong data-driven discoveries.
Well, excellent. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Just okay.
I mean, there's a lot, it's very broad. And so it's a little overwhelming because I wasn't aware that data had already been pulled, but the criminal justice system is really complex. And so are we going to be looking at adults and juveniles in the criminal justice system and the disproportionate minority confinement in both those groups? Are we just focused on adults? I mean, it's such a huge, broad thing. And then you have police, and you have a structure within the police department. So it's just very overwhelming. And then there's different parts of the court system. So breaking down what it is that we're actually looking for will be helpful.
Let me ask Laura Hatfield. Laura, do you see the things that are written in the chat box? If you will make notes on those, then you can give those to David and me later, because people are making suggestions for additional data.
Also, Your Honor, there's 3 little buttons on the side. You can You can push those buttons and it'll save the chat onto your computer.
Right. I know that, but I want to be sure our notes are all together. And so Laura's tasked with doing that.
I will, but I also wanted to take an opportunity to tell everyone that this meeting will be up on the website. So if anyone wants to go back and review something that was said, and then I'll also have some minutes, but yes, I'll capture everything, Judge. Thank you.
You know, we have this doodle poll, and the results are that 10 people can do it one time, 11 another time. 13 out of the 14 can meet on Monday, July 20th and Monday, July 27th. Those are the only two times we have all 13. We have 13 available, and I didn't look to see who the 14th was. We've also gotten an email today from the mayor, essentially, from Chris Ford, saying that if we need more time, we may ask for it. And so should we think about delaying our meetings until days when we can have the most people here? I was thinking about those 2 Mondays.
And Dr. Price, I think that you were the only one where I didn't capture your availability for the next few weeks. And so on that Monday, that was the most, Monday the 20th, I want to say that was from 3 to 4:30, is that right?
No, it's from 4 to 5:30.
Okay.
Those were fine for me.
Are those good? Melinda, you said they're good? Okay. Okay, good. And so was she the 14th, Laura? Great. So everybody's available on those 2 Mondays, the 20th and 27th. And if we waited, 11 days to have our next meeting, David, that would give everybody more time certainly to gather and do something.
It would, if there's enough clarity for the gathering to begin between now and then.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure there is, but I could be wrong.
No, yeah, everybody's shaking their head.
There's not enough. I didn't think there was. And so, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but 11's a pretty good number for this group. And so I don't know who can. Everybody.
Next Thursday from 3 to 4:30, same time, same place, we could gather again and continue this conversation.
And these will be up, right, Laura? They will be up for review by committee members and or public, the meetings, correct?
The videos, yes, the video.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And I just wanted to jump in and say those videos will be up about 24 hours after the meeting takes place. That's just how long it takes the video to archive on YouTube.
So yeah, I don't think we wait till the 21st. I think we start rolling and we start developing. What I'm believing is that from today, as people ingest and digest, that the smart people in this group are going to say, how about this for methodology moving forward? How about we offer that? Because again, I do not want to discount the gifts, skills, and experiences that we have here. There are methodical people in this group. There are strategic people in this group. There are process people in this group. And while we possess some of that coming to the table, I don't want to discount what's in this group, and I don't want to wait.
So you want to meet next Thursday, same time?
I think we do.
Okay.
What say the group to that?
Yep, I'm with it.
Okay. And so,
I'm sorry, David. I have 3 people who could not attend at that time. So Brandon, can you now do that?
I can.
Okay, Chief Maynard was not able to attend, nor was a council member Masadi. So if they are not able to, then you all can talk to those members in advance or after. They can watch the video.
Okay.
Chief, Jennifer and Brian, how's that feel to you?
I'm supposed to be out of town next Thursday, but I will make an arrangement to be available wherever I'm at. So
great. Thank you.
That's appreciated. I hope it's not family time, but that's appreciated. Councilwoman, how does that feel to you?
I will do my best, but I am babysitting a large group, so it may be a little difficult.
No, and so it's understood. I just want to regard everybody in this group. And if you guys aren't the ones that couldn't make it, but I still say we move forward, and hopefully you all will be able to look soon thereafter if you're not able to make it and look at the materials. Again, you may not have heard this protocol for the group. If there's a request for something that you can't get from your respective station or where you are, please send that to Judge Kaufman or myself. So we're the point of contact to Laura. Laura is very skilled, but she doesn't need to be inundated from multiple directions. It's better if we're the conduit. And so if there's something you feel we need, if there's something we have that you want, let us know. And additionally, if you feel like there is a category that we need to be working towards. So Brianna, nobody really answered your question. This is as comprehensive as it can be.
Yeah.
Again, we call it a big apple.
Yeah.
And we know that. And so how do we, that's why we're saying at the end of this, we're not going to have it settled, but we should have something that unequivocally outlines, that acknowledges, just like we were told, it asks, it addresses, and we have actions to these things. But yeah, we can't do adults and not juveniles. We can't do juveniles and not adults. We can't talk about who ends up in the courts and not talk about who the police charge. We can't talk about who ends up incarcerated and how the judges charge. So it's a continuum. We realize that. That's why we acknowledge it's going to be hard work.
I think we all need each other's contact info, Laura.
Yeah.
I'll send that to everyone after this is over. Okay.
Is that okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scorsone?
Yeah. We've outlined stuff that would take researchers years to fully digest. It's pretty massive. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying at the same time, don't we have an obligation to address the specific items that the community activists have asked the city to address as they relate to law enforcement, justice, and so forth?
Yes.
We may or may not be able to do much about it, but I think we owe them the respect of addressing the specific things that are within the purview of this subcommittee.
Yes.
Thank you. And I did not want to impose that upon this group, but I knew the group was wise enough and compassionate enough to know that. And so if we're not talking about looking at the possibility of a citizens review panel and the policies that need to be changed locally or statewide, and that's not a recommendation or a suggestion or a body of work, then we haven't heard the community. If we're not talking about, certain disproportionalities, we haven't heard the community. And to your point of researchers, if we don't have in one of our long-term or maybe intermediate term objectives that we have someone that is perpetually henceforth accountability for monitoring and researching this, that could be one of our universities or otherwise, I think that we probably missed an opportunity. So all that you're saying is accurate. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that we're wanting to put together something that will be here for our great-grandchildren, and will have changed things for our great-grandchildren.
But we keep improving it, right? We keep improving it as we go. And, you've heard a lot of things today, and we have a place to start. I think if some of you in your respective agencies can help us gather this information more quickly, it would be great. Again, if you'll run it through David and me, it would be wonderful. And you're going to have our email addresses, and all you have to do is send it to us. And that way we'll make sure we don't have duplication and we don't absolutely overtax Laura. Okay, you want to just focus on one next meeting date at this point then? And that's the next Thursday? Just one?
Laura, is there a point of order that we need to have all the meeting dates posted so we don't have to continuously make public announcements, or?
No, actually, if you do which, what did we say, next Thursday?
Thursday at 3 o'clock.
Okay. I will be out of town with very spotty Wi-Fi, so I'm going to ensure that you have someone who will be here. That next week, you can just decide on another one. So if you rather I do a whole new doodle poll, but it sounds like you could do next Thursday, and then that 20th is available. But if you want to revisit it after that meeting and choose, that's fine.
If we've got 11 or more on all the dates.
Well, we have, we don't have 11 on the 23rd. We have only 10. Who are you missing on the 23rd, that Thursday, Laura?
Tana, and again, yes, Tana, I've called you Tanya for years too, so I'm glad to know that. It's Tana, Councilmember Masadi, and it looks like maybe Gary Harris. No, he can make that one. And
It's me. I don't think I signed up for that day, but.
Me too. It was me too.
Yeah, I was just that.
Yeah, duty calls.
Yeah.
But I thought that week we were available, most of us were available on the 20th. I think now that Mr. Dunn could participate. So the 20th of that week was a date that was available.
Yeah, the 16th and then the 20th.
So that would mean the 6th, so next Thursday and then the following Monday, okay?
Right.
And then the best day after that is going to be the 27th of July for everyone.
Well, that's 3. Is that good enough, Laura, to go ahead and post those? David, what do you think about that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, all right.
I just have one question. I think you all said if our agencies could gather certain information. For instance, I think Judge Scorsoni was talking about the KBA data that's out there. Can you tell us what data you've already, I know the things that you've requested, some of the things that I've been in communication with, but can you tell us what you already have?
Can we send you that? Can we send you that list?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. Can you all send us that list when you send that email out, so then we'll know what else needs to be gathered?
Laura gave us a spreadsheet and maybe she could update it and send it to all of us.
Thank you.
With the different teams, okay?
Well, yeah, we're not sure we're going to do a team approach because I'm not hearing much of it.
I like team.
Councilwoman?
Can I ask the question? In the data that you all are gathering, is the enhancement a part of that? And the only reason why I'm asking is that one of my sons got in some trouble, and then he had child support trouble, and he went from 1 year to 10 years because of another child, and they used the child support to enhance the 1 year to the 10 years. So is there some data that's going to be on like the enhancement that is used for child support?
We haven't asked for that, but that's a good thing to add.
We have talked about exploring it and what needs to be modified on that phenomena that is used of stacking like that, but we haven't got the data on it. If it exists, we could seek that. Councilwoman, and we're going to land the plane here.
Yeah.
Well, yes, sir. I was just going to say, I have a planning commission meeting at 4:30 and a council meeting at 6. So I have to leave. I appreciate all that we've done today, but I'm sorry, I've got another meeting that I have to attend.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.
Likewise here. Judge Kaufman, I think we made it through our agenda, which is good.
I think so, and we'll work on an agenda for next time. And I want everybody to give some thought about, is there a better approach than teams? And if you have one, feel free to email us between now and next Thursday, and we'll work out a method to go forward next week. Meanwhile, we'll keep gathering documents. Okay.
Thank you. You very well may hear from us individually. And we're very much open to hearing from you individually.
Absolutely.
While we seek to get something that's manageable and get a very meaningful product out to join with our other cohorts in subcommittee. So thank you all very much. Bless each one of you. Have a safe evening and a better weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Great first meeting.
Thanks, Quinn. We're good.
Thank you very much.